everyone, and welcome back to our last activity of the day, life skills. Today what we're going to do is we're going to review our life skill indoor safety signs from yesterday. We'll see them, we'll talk about them, and then we're going to get into completing our worksheet together. So let's first by saying each of the indoor safety signs we learned, and then we'll stop and take a minute to talk about it before we move on to the next one. As I say each one, you can read along with me, or you can repeat back after me. So the first one is slippery when wet. So that just means that if you're mopping up the floor, so cleaning the floor, or if there's a spill, it usually means that area, if you walk on it, you might slip and fall. So you just want to take extra caution. The next one is the smoking area. So that indicates that is going to be an area that is allowed for anyone that needs to go and smoke. And you can only smoke in that area. So it's a designated area. The next one is stairs. So that's just indicating that door would lead to stairs, maybe going down the stairs or up the stairs if you wanted to take the stairs instead of maybe using an elevator. The next one is the waiting area. So that's an area indicating that maybe if you're going to a doctor's office or you have an appointment at the hospital, that's going to be the area that you're going to wait before you're seen by your doctor or whoever is taking care of you. The next one is wash hands. So that's usually a sign that's mostly found sometimes inside the restroom that you are going to, and it's also reminding employees, so anyone that works there, is that you need to wash your hands before returning to work, or also could indicate that is a place where a soap and sink and paper towel is for anybody that needs to wash their hands. The next one is watch your step. So that's usually sometimes also next to a door, and or sometimes when you're changing from one room to another, there might be a step that you need to go down, and it's just indicating that people need to watch out for that step, because if you don't take caution and watch out for it, you might fall. The next one is the water fountain. So that's just indicating that is a place where if you need to go get a drink, or you have to fill up your water bottle, that would be the place to do so. So wet floor kind of goes back to slippery when wet. So the wet floor just indicates that there's a sign there, the floor is wet, take caution, maybe go around it. The next one is wet paint. So that's just indicating that the paint that might be on the wall or the door or any other type of material that you would be painting, it's wet, and to take caution, because if you lean up against it, you might get paint on yourself, or if you decide to touch it, you'd get paint all over your hands. And then the next one is woman, but more specifically referencing the women's restroom. So that's indicating that sign would be out of the women's restroom, indicating that is where you would need to go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about our materials that we are going to need to complete our activity for today. So the first thing out of your packet is you're going to find the worksheet that says circle the sign, indoor signs numbers 1 through 35, and that will be on one side. And on the back side, it would have the same title, circle the sign, indoor signs numbers 36 through 40, okay? And you're also going to need a pencil and then your correcting tool. A marker, colored pencil, or crayon. So again, I'll go over the materials. You want to take out in your packet the circle the sign, indoor signs numbers 31 through 35, which will be 5 questions on one side. When you flip it over the back, it will say circle the sign, indoor signs number 36 through 40 with another 5 questions on the back. You're also going to need a pencil and then your correcting tool. So if you need a few extra minutes trying to find this through your packet, or just getting out your pencil or your correcting tool, pause the video here, and then when you have all your materials in front of you, press play so you can follow along with us. So I just want to point out that the first side that we're going to be starting on is the one that says circle the sign, indoor signs numbers 31 through 35. Okay, you're going to look for that little subtitle, indoor signs numbers 31 through 35. And then as you see there at the top, there's a spot for your name. So we've been practicing our first and last name and then the date. So today's date is actually May 7th, 2020. So 5/7/20. So as I put my first and last name on my paper, remember on the side that says indoor signs number 31 through 35, you can also put your first and last name as well. Then what I'm going to do is, each of these signs that you see on the left-hand side are exactly signs that we just talked about on our board. You're going to match the text to the picture that represents the sign. Remember, the sign might also have the same text in it, okay? And you also just want to find the picture that's going to go best along with the text, and you're going to circle your answer, okay? So I'm going to read each of the texts, and you're going to circle the sign that matches the text. So the first one is slippery when wet. So you're going to circle the sign that matches that. Number 2 is smoking area. So you're going to circle one of the signs for that one. Number 3 is stairs, and circle one of the signs that represents using stairs. Number 4 is the waiting area. So you're going to circle the sign that represents the waiting area. And then number 5 is wash hands. So which sign is telling us to wash our hands? You're going to circle that. Okay, so before I move on to the back, you want to make sure that you have a sign circled for slippery when wet, a sign circled for the smoking area, a sign circled for stairs, a sign circled for the waiting area, and then a sign circled for wash hands. Then what we're going to do is you're going to flip your paper over, and we're going to do the exact same thing that we did on the front. I will read the text, and you will circle the sign that represents the text. So starting with 1, watch your step. So which sign indicates that you need to watch your step? Number 2 is the water fountain. So which sign represents the water fountain, and you'll circle it. Number 3 is wet floor. So which sign indicates that the floor is wet, and you're going to circle it. Then number 4 is wet paint. So which one is showing that there's wet paint? And then number 5 is woman. Which sign is showing the woman? And more specifically, we talked about that this sign is associated with the woman's restroom. Okay, so before we go and correct our work, you want to make sure you have a sign circled for watch your step, a sign circled for water fountain, a sign circled for wet floor, a sign circled for wet paint, and then a sign circled for woman. Okay? If you need a little bit of extra time, maybe you missed a sign, or you're not quite sure yet, so you didn't circle anything, you can rewind the video and go back to the part where I was talking about it. And then once you have everything completed on your worksheet, you can press play, because now we're going to correct our work together. So what we're going to do is I'd like you to get out your correcting tool. So it could be a marker, colored pencil, crayon, pen. And we're going to flip back over to this first side that you have your name. So your first and last name. And then it says indoor signs numbers 31 through 35. So remember, if you get it correct, you'll put a check. And if you got it wrong, you're just going to circle the correct answer, so we learn from our mistakes. So we're going to start with the first one, slippery when wet. And the sign that shows that is the last sign. It has caution, and it has slippery when wet, and it shows someone falling. Number 2, the smoking area. Your second sign should be circled. It has a picture of a cigarette lit up, and then it says smoking area below. Number 3 for stairs, your first sign should be circled, and it has the picture of someone walking down the stairs. Number 4 for the waiting area, your first sign should be circled. It has a person sitting down, and it also has waiting area below. And number 5 for wash hands, your second sign should be circled, and it has a picture of someone washing hands and it looks like there's soap in it, so just indicating that there's soap and water available for you to wash your hands. So now what we're going to do is we're going to flip our paper over and correct our last 5. Okay, so on this one, watch your step. Your second sign should be circled, and it has a person that's, you can see them kind of stepping down on a step. There's a little bit of a ledge, so just to take extra caution. Number 2, for the water fountain, your third sign should be circled, and it has a picture representing somebody drinking water from the water fountain. Number 3, for wet floor, your second sign should be circled, and it has a picture of a bucket, mop, and then it looks like there's water below the mop, so just indicating that that floor would be wet and to take caution. Number 4, for wet paint, your first sign should be circled, and it has wet paint, and it also has the picture of a paintbrush with paint below it. And then number 5, for women, your last sign should be circled. It has the picture of the woman symbol, and then also you can notice that there's the handicap sign, so that's indicating that that also is handicap accessible, which is another sign that we have learned and talked about. Okay. And now before we just end our lesson for the day, we're going to go back and we're going to just say each of the 10 indoor safety signs that we practiced with again today from yesterday. So you can read each of the signs with me, or you can repeat back after me. So we have slippery when wet, smoking area, stairs, waiting area, wash hands, watch your step, water fountain, wet floor, wet paint, and woman. Okay? And that's going to bring us to the end for life skills today. I also left the link for CNN Student News, so you can also catch up on your current events. And there'll also be any additional practice links below that you want to try for today. So that's going to be it for learning today, and I will see you all back and ready to learn for Friday.